In today's speculative fiction, biology is treated like software. We see glowing DNA helices manipulated and severed by microscopic, sterile robotic instruments. Public anxiety surrounding these technologies is anchored in the genetic imaginary, a set of cultural expectations and fears built on cinematic tropes rather than actual scientific literature. For over a century, the silver screen has functioned as a cultural laboratory for stress testing medical ethics. Tracking the cinematic Docter's evolution across 3 historical archetypes reveals why we are so wary of genetic discrimination today. The face of cinematic science rarely reflects the actual technology of its time. It reflects the specific ethical anxieties of the era. At the turn of the 20th century, the public viewed new medical breakthroughs as awe-inspiring magic. Early silent films capitalized on röntgenomania, a widespread obsession with the newly discovered X-ray. Directors portrayed physicians as heroes wielding new tools to peer inside the human body. This reverence grew from the real-world battle with infectious disease. Wards were filled with patients, including children, suffering from then incurable illnesses like tuberculosis. Because the primary terror of the era was the uncontrollable force of nature, the doctor was conceptualized as a flawless, godlike protector. The image of the benevolent savior fractured after the trauma of the early 20th century. The scale of mechanized warfare introduced a deep public distrust of scientific advancement. Technology was causing immense visible suffering on the battlefield. Simultaneously, rapid industrialization forced workers into chaotic factory floors. This fueled the concern that human technology was outpacing human morality. Out of this era, German expressionist cinema birthed the mad scientist. On screen, secretive figures operated strange equipment, attempting to manipulate life in shadowy isolation. Fear shifted from the natural world to the creators themselves, focusing on untamable knowledge and the psychological instability of the researchers. In the modern sci-fi era, the solitary madman has been replaced by the corporate eugenicist, operating in pristine institutional environments. In these narratives, genetic determinism is commodified. Executives look to maximize profits under the sterile guise of health optimization. These films rely on a specific claim. Reading a person's DNA allows technicians to predict exact health traits and time of death with certainty. Real genetics rely on polygenic scores, a statistical estimate of a predisposition based on many DNA variants. It deals in probabilities, not certainties. Furthermore, cinematic narratives ignore missing heritability. Unpredictable environmental factors heavily disrupt these genetic predictions. Modern films overstate genetic determinism to illustrate a different fear, the threat of institutionalized biopolitical discrimination. The cinematic threat has evolved from the disease itself to the unhinged individual, and finally to systemic corporate power. Modern science fiction depicts a threat defined by systemic power and hierarchies enforced through biological metrics. While actual genetic capabilities may never reach the exaggerated levels shown on screen, these films act as crucial behavioral warnings. Cinema warns that the ultimate danger lies in how institutional power chooses to interpret and weaponize our DNA.